Guten Tagen. Über Musik sprechen. Now, I didn't do that right, did I, Michael?
It was not bad. It was not bad. Über Musik sprechen, which means something like talking about music.
Should we do it all in German?
Yeah, sure. No problem. Or French?
Kann ich Ihnen helfen?
Geh schlafen.
Ich schlafen? Was ist das?
Ja, genau.
Komm, gib mir deine Hand. Sie liebt dich.
Yeah, that's all from the Beatles, isn't it?
It is.
But not geh schlafen. No, geh schlafen is not from
okay, schlafen. My grandmother used to speak a lot of Yiddish,
Okay.
and which is a German. So it was always, geh schlafen is go to bed. That's how we see it, and I had my grandmother speaking Yiddish on my mother's side, and my father's side, my grandmother would speak Russian to me, but I never picked any of it up. So Michael in Germany and Mazzy in Seattle are just casual here on a Saturday morning here and Saturday evening in Germany. We decided just to talk about some music and records and a few news pieces. I don't even wear a hat today, and I'm wearing a hoodie. When's the last time you saw Mazzy with a hoodie? I've had this.
I've never seen you with a hoodie.
No, if people don't,
but it suits you. But it suits you.
I've had this for 15 years. I just never wear it.
You should.
Bob Dylan.
So, yeah. I was so when one of my subscriber he put in a comment on my channel and said, "Have you seen the news from Blue Note?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And then I went to the website, and then for me, this was a huge announcement.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that now. Just for everyone's out there, it's October 24th, 2020. So in contents, in case this is 2047 and you're watching this, I'm gone. Michael might be around, but I'm probably not going to be
around. We are both around somehow, in some form.
Oh, actually, it's only 27 years or 20. Yeah, me too. I'll be around.
We'll
see. We'll see.
Let's hope for the best.
I'm youthful. So this is my kind of youthful, like hipster, get out the vote look, Hi, Michael. I'm Bob Dylan.
Yeah, sure you are. Now, but back to the topic, I want to read it because then I made this short video and talked about it, and I was a bit disappointed because.
Why don't you tell people? Because a lot of people might not know who are watching this. Explain.
The point is there are two series out there from Blue Note up at the moment: the 80s series and the Tone Poet series. The Tone Poet series is with all the glamour. You have your gatefold cover. You have the session photos from Mazzy, Wild.
Well, they're from Michael Kuskuna, who bought the Francis Wolff. Him and his wife years ago bought the Francis Wolff archive, all the photographs. So they own the photographs and negatives, and they can license out to magazines, to books, to anything. When you license images, since I'm a photo agent, I know about this. You can license the images for editorial. He cannot license it for commercial use, and that means, for instance, if American Express wanted to do an ad and he had pictures of John Coltrane or Hank Mobley, he couldn't do that because the estates of those musicians would not promote unless you got a separate licensing fee to the family. But he can do the images on records and everything else. So you figure for Music Matters Jazz and for Tone Poet, I don't know. Let's just say he charges $500 to $700 an image per.
Whatever, but the gain, the value gain when you have it in your hand with those Stoughton covers is, in my opinion, huge. So this is a Tone Poet series. Then you have the 80s series, which is stripped down to a non-gatefold cover. Okay, good quality, but the pressings, on the other hand, are on par, in my opinion. I wouldn't say that the pressing of a Tone Poet is better or different than a pressing or mastering of.
But aren't they one's at QRP and one's at RTI pressing plans?
Yeah. No. The 80s are over here in Germany. Optimal.
Oh, Optim. That's what I meant. Yeah.
not Palace, but Optimal.
Right. Right.
And now they decided to put out, I call them their big guns, Sidewinder, Idle Moments, Moaning, all of them, gorgeous editions. On the simpler editions, the 80s style, they call it classical reissue series.
Right. And the thing is, they're going to list for about $24 or $25, which means in America, you can probably get them occasionally as low as $19, 18, 19, 20, under $20. Whereas the Tone Poets list for 35. However, you can get those in America for around 27 to 28. So there's about a $7 to $8 difference between the Blue Note 80s and the Tone Poets. What I was thinking about, I agree with you, and I understand how they want a budget line because a lot of people don't want to spend $30 for a record. I think a compromise would have been, don't make them gatefolds because the records weren't originally gatefolds anyway, most of them, but use like those craft recordings or Rhino handmade, not, or the Rhino like Rocktober. Make them nice quality, heavy covers, but single instead of that cheaper thing. I mean, and so it might add maybe $2, $3 tops per record. They won't have to license the photographs because you don't need extra photographs. So they might sell. You could probably get them. They probably would be like $27 list price, maybe. You could probably get them for 22, 23. Now, maybe they know the market better, and there is that, people go into a shop.
When I did my video, I didn't say it out so loud, but I was disappointed in a way. But then I put on this video, and that was so great. And nearly immediately, it came to a beautiful discussion in the comment section. And there are guys like me, or maybe you, who said, "Oh, I would love to have them as Tone Poets," but on the other, no, it's great they do it this way because, and both sides, in my opinion, had so many so good arguments that it was very interesting for me to read. Let's say the other side. Why is it great that they put it out on in such a low or normal budget? That was great to see and great to read. So I changed my mind a little bit about that now, and there really has been some very interesting arguments. One was that one said, for example, he thinks that they now put them out like the 80s, and in a couple of years they do something like the Tone Poets with them.
Well, things are going to change, yeah. What do you think? This might be too much because we're taping this on the 24th, as I said, and today also is the third drop of Record Store Day, which I want to talk about a little bit. I did not go out and get a line. This is the first year in about 5 years I didn't get up early and go to stores. During the pandemic, I've been ordering online, and I'll get back to that in a bit. But what if they did something like, the BN80s and now this new classic series, whatever it is going to be a inexpensive series that will probably, cost $20, 18 to $24, whatever, which is very reasonable these days for a record. And if any of you out there think otherwise, a record that sold in 1976, records were about $5 to $6 then. In today's dollars, that's about $27 to $28. So if you think about that, So, but what if they did a thing, and maybe this would piss people off, or it could be interesting if they did, let's say they do a 5 or 10,000 press run of each of these. I don't know what the press run is. I know they're not going to be limited in theory, so they'll continue to be in print. What if they did 1,000 or 2,500 with heavier covers and charge another $10? Because there are people that might want that, or is that too confusing?
Probably, or you have your economy of scales. I think if you do that, this may be, I'm not from that industry, but usual economy of scales is a big factor. And if you do 2 versions, it may be very expensive. I think they do a lot more from the Tone Poets than 2,500. So if you do 2,500 of those gatefold, it may be very, very expensive.
I think the Tone Poets, as I recall, Joe Harley, and I could be wrong, remember them saying the initial pressings were about 10,000 of each one, or most of them, which is a lot for a jazz album.
Yeah,
Really.
What,
They're still in print. Like they've come back. Like Chick Corea, you couldn't get for a while. You can't get right now the Chet Baker Sings, but it'll be back very soon. Yeah.
I think they'll be back.
And they got tight because of the pandemic that closed down for 3 or 4 months too. But like this, it's like we talked a little bit now about this McCartney, this Paul McCartney 3, where I just happened to wake up at 5 in the morning, and I didn't realize as I said it, of course, as it came out of my mouth, I realized Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. is the lyric from She's Leaving Home in Sgt. Pepper. And I just woke up and I looked at my phone, and I follow Third Man on Instagram, and I saw that. And I didn't even look at the quantity. I just thought, oh, I know they do limited pressings. I just ordered it. And then I posted a picture of it on the Hoffman forum. Within 10 or 15 minutes, it sold out, and it turned out there are 333 copies. One sold for $5,000 on eBay.
No.
One copy did, and it was verified selling. And I don't understand how anybody can pre-sell something that's not even in their hands yet. And there's another one that people were asking $1,900 for. First of all,
Paul McCartney bought it, Matthew. I think Paul McCartney himself bought that one.
Right. But I mean, thing is, someone who's rich, 5,000 is nothing. Obviously, to us, just to go buy one record,
You have to be very rich.
That's my retirement. But I got in the heat of it, and I ordered. There's a green vinyl version on Target. What I liked about it more than the color, I'm not a big colored record person, like that whole thing. But I really like the idea that he changed the dice color in that one to green.
Okay.
A few of them, they changed the cover art. And as I did, and I think I pronounced his name wrong in my video about it, there's an artist named Ed Ruscha. I think I said Ed Ruscha, famous pop artist. He's in his 80s. He's done a lot of artwork, and I put some of his artwork. He's a famous painter at the end of my last video, and he did the cover. Some people I know don't like the cover, didn't like the typeface. That's what his art is about. And McCartney is a big art collector and has been an art fan. He has work by David Hockney. He, Richard Hamilton did the White Album cover, who was an avant-garde pop artist in the 60s. Peter Blake did Sgt. Pepper. And that interests me. I know most people don't care about covers, but then I went, and there's all these different covers. And I know there's a blue version in Germany that you might be helping me with.
You always order. You get all of them. Come on, get all of them.
The white one, which is the indie exclusive at indie stores here, I pre-ordered. The only one I can't find, if anyone out there gets it, I'm not going to pay exorbitant prices, but there's a Coke bottle green that
Coke bottle green is beautiful.
I have some through Spotify. But to me, Spotify, I guess Spotify is more of a brand now. It's a streaming service, and I'm thinking they have this merch thing, really? So I don't have I didn't order that one. So I'm getting 6 of them. I was hoping they'd have 8 altogether, so I get one for each night of Hanukkah this year.
Usually Urban Outfitters does also some special version.
They usually do, and also Barnes & Noble in America usually does, and they haven't had anything. So I think that's enough of the McCartney crap, because that's not.
But have you seen Vinyl Richie's latest video?
Yes.
What do you think? I can tell us shortly. He said that he thinks that Paul McCartney 3 probably will be a terrible album, or he doesn't sing. Then it may be a good one.
Yeah, well.
Come on, Messi, give me your comment.
Okay. I actually really liked Egypt Station. His voice is shot, but he can do it, and he seems to be understanding what he can do with what he has. Obviously, musically, he really interests me. And the Fireman album, 2 of them are ambient, which he did these other projects under the Fireman name, so people wouldn't confuse and be disappointed who don't like ambient music. I happen to like that stuff. I hope this is more experimental, where he's kind of fooling around. I like the experimental stuff because he is a great musician. He likes out there stuff. Obviously, he's got to balance it, but you know, he writes a good melody. I think it'll be.
The White Album has been a little out there in its time.
Well, I was talking to someone, I think our friend, mutual friend Michael, and I feel bad now because Michael in Austin is not on this, so we're kind of cheating on him here. But this
A
is
little
not
bit.
this is a two corner. This is like down the street right now. But I sent Michael a copy of the White Album with the Escher tapes because he said he didn't have the Beatles anymore. It got burned out, I guess, because his father would play them all the time. But I consider the White Album the closest the Beatles have to an indie album. It's very like parts and pieces that, to me, it makes up a great thing. And I know some people think they should have cut it down. I don't agree with that, you know.
So when you say that McCartney's voice is shut, you can say the same thing about Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Nowadays. And I love Bob Dylan's voice, what he does with it on their new album. And I totally understand why people may not like it. So, you know.
Of course, always.
But now, okay.
You know, why does a man like Paul McCartney put out a new album? Why? For the fun of it?
Because he's a musician. That's what he does. He doesn't have to make money on it, and he doesn't care. No, the thing is, Universal is really pushing the album. There's like stencils on the sidewalks and in some major cities and street art. And, you know, it'll sell decently. It won't be a huge thing. I mean, actually, it's surprised that the last album hit #1 in the States. But it doesn't take a lot to hit #1 these days, unfortunately.
Egypt Station was on number
hit
one?
#1. And of course, it depends. If you're up against a Katy Perry record or something like that, or you know, that week, you're not going to hit #1. So it's all about timing too. But yeah, he makes music. What that's what he's done for 60 years. Why not put it out? It's like
I
Hank Mobley.
I somehow expected this answer, but I wanted to hear it.
You were talking all these like jazz artists, like all these jazz artists that like Jimmy Smith, he kept putting records out, you know. Isn't he the one who put up most records on Blue Note? I can't remember now. Was it Jimmy?
Either him or Grant Green, probably.
Oh, right. You know,
yeah, but you know, I don't know. Maybe in Grant Green or Jimmy Smith, I wouldn't. I can't. I don't know the truth, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put out in their high age records because they have to. I'm not sure that they are
right. That's true.
Financially independent, of course not like in Paul McCartney.
Well, right. You know, but I
think he's doing well.
McCartney, out of all the Beatles, is the one who's the lead. I don't want to say the other ones were lazy. John Lennon got a little lazy, in a way. That's what he does. Why not? And you know, also what he said. I read one of the interviews or heard one of the interviews, and during the pandemic, there's all these people that they're home, they're stuck, they're not touring. He would be out on tour right now, McCartney too. He would be out on a world tour. I just got a copy of, I'm a big fan of Gillian Welch and David Rawlings. And Gillian Welch's, they master their own records, and they're high, I don't know if you have those, high audiophile quality records.
That's right.
Well, I just got, I'm going to show it in one of my next videos. They did a record of covers during the pandemic, and it sounds so beautiful. Yeah, I'll get mine too.
I think Messi is talking about this one. There are two, I think. I hope he gets the other one. The label is called Acony.
Yeah. But musicians are meant to record and make music, and they put out, which I just got the other day, I pre-ordered this about 2 months ago. They recorded this covers thing during the pandemic. And it is All the Good Times Are Past Gone. It's a white sleeve with a glued on piece of paper. So it's low tech, not printed. They pressed and it's glued on to a white, it's got a song by Bob Dylan, Abandoned Love. It's got a Norman Blake song.
About whom are you? From whom is this record, Messi? I don't know that record.
This is from their label, Alconi.
Great, looks great. Where did you get it?
I ordered it directly on their website, and they actually have
Great.
a box set coming out in about a month or two. I pre-ordered. It's not their regular albums. It's new stuff they've recorded, and it comes
Okay.
in, you know.
I have to get that. It comes in the Mophie sleeves. Great.
And it sounds fantastic.
Okay.
It's got
It's extremely limited or
probably, but it's very acoustic. It's not expensive. It's all
Right.
acoustic, very intimate. If you know, her stuff is like that, you know, but it doesn't have all that heavy cover like the ones that you just showed. They're going to be doing that whole series of hers on vinyl eventually. I think they held off on a couple of them this year because they would put one out per year while they retoured that album. So they would feature that album on tour, and of course, it's a great time to do that album. So
probably when I go vinyl Richie on you now, but I drink a beer at Saturday evenings.
that's okay. It's 11 o'clock in the morning here, so I'm not going to have a. Of course, I could.
Little martini, Messi.
Pardon me?
The tiny martini for breakfast.
Not in the daytime. No, I'm not a. Everyone thinks I'm this big drinker, but I don't drink a lot. I just like a great martini. A couple other things that talking about record store day again now, or starting about it. I did not go this year. Did not wait in line. There are only 3 things I wanted, and the way during the pandemic it happens at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and obviously 6 p.m. in the UK. Stores are allowed to put things online, and I bought 3 items. I bought there's a Mild Bitches Brew, which is 2 faces, which basically is 2 records of the outtake. So I have those Metal Spine CD sets. It's some of that stuff. So I already have the music, but I wanted that. I'm a Grateful Dead fan, so there's a 1977 box set of 4 or 5 LPs. I got that, and then I got a Warren Zevon comp, and that was pretty much it. So I didn't, order a lot, but I got them all for the regular price, not overpriced. And
no, I'm totally not into the record store day, and I saw so many videos in the VC, and it must be hundreds of items they put out during that record store day.
But they broke it up in 3 periods, so there wasn't a lot. I mean, there wasn't a lot this time. I get hooked up to it, and thing is, the last few times there's a store near me called Silver Platters, and I was getting there at 6 a.m. 6:30 in the morning, and they would open at 9. And I met this same group of people. It's almost like the VC. I met these people every year. I bring my little bench and I sit there and have my thermos of coffee, and we chat, we talk music, and it's been really great. A little too cold this morning, but for me.
That's great. No, I'm not into that. Because you never know what you get up front, don't you?
What do you mean?
Pardon?
What do you mean you don't know what you get up front?
Yeah, there will be Grateful Dead. Okay, but you don't know how is the pressing, how is the quality.
Well,
you know nothing.
That's not totally true. It depends. Well, some things it's true, but some things there are certain labels that constantly put out. Like, remember the Bill Evans? About 2 years ago, there's a label out of LA put this out.
It's a 3-disc edition, isn't it?
Pardon me?
It's a 3-disc edition, isn't it?
It's 2 discs. 2 discs. And this was a lost session that was put out 2 years ago. And I think then Bernie Grundman mastered it. It's been going for about $200 for the last few years, $250. They put it out last month. I think it was one of the recent drops. Same company put out 6,000 more. Slightly
but not as Record Street Day, as a regular one.
Record Store Day.
Still, again, Record Store Day.
Yeah, 6,000 copies. hand numbered. And this one, though, is cut by Kevin Gray.
Okay.
And so I was lucky to get one, and it was like, I don't know, how much was it? $60 maybe? $60, something like that. It's already going for well over 150 or something.
Would be great to compare them.
Yeah, but I'm not like you. I don't really, jazz records I rarely buy again. Although I did buy the Acoustic Sounds Coltrane and Ballads Coltrane. And I have an original mono ballads, but it's really noisy. It's one of those well played. I mean, the cover's nice, but I probably won't play it anymore. I'll probably just pick out the Acoustic Sounds one because it's just so clean and sounds so sweet.
Yeah, but you will get you will skip on that classic reissue series from Blue Note now because it's not Tone Point, or will you get into it?
The new classic series, I think I will skip because I have everything on Music Matters Jazz, except there's a Jimmy Smith. I think.
Yeah, there's a Jimmy Smith, right?
Yeah, that
I will get just to compare them.
Yeah,
I'm so eager to compare them because you know there is so much talk about the equipment upgrades from Kevin Gray, and I want to compare it because I want to know what is more important, the deterioration of the master tapes or the equipment upgrade from the laboratories from Kevin Gray.
I was lucky enough this year to get the SRX Sidewinder on Music Matters Jazz.
Too,
that's 33. So to me, I don't think I'm going to do any better. And I don't, to get a thin cover.
I want to know, and I want to do a video and compare them. I think that's very interesting.
And you should, but I don't need another copy of that because I'll never play it. And but I love that it's coming out because I have a lot of friends that want to get that record and they can't. I mean, like I hope they do the Coltrane on Blue Note too, Blue Train.
Oh, they do.
You know, because that's such a popular. Everybody wants a good copy of that record, and you can't get unless you get a digital copy. Which I'm not totally against digital, but they were just bad.
That's true. There is no decent copy of Blue Train under $200.
Right.
You're right. Same with Sidewinder. I think same with Moaning.
Moaning, I never see that. You know, the Blue Note 75, which I had bad experience because I bought the first 3 or 4 when they came out, and the pressings were horrible. I don't even forget the digital part, just that the pressings were noisy. And I remember writing Blue Note 4 or 5 times about it, and I never got a response.
Wasn't it?
I never got a response, and so I just quit. Yeah.
Was it, I think, pressed by United or?
I think pressed for the guy that sells the pretzels on the carts in New York City. You know, those kind of vendors, all the steam coming out of the carts. I'm sure they have those.
So now it was a 3rd part. Will there be a 4th part?
Of?
A record store day.
Oh, no. However, there will be one next month because they always do Black Friday.
Ah, Black Friday again.
So there'll be Black Friday, which is.
But you can get good sales offers.
Yeah, well, going back to your question, so certain companies like Rhino are usually good pressings, like they do Rocktober and they do. In fact, they just put out a copy of Love in Mono, which I didn't have. I know you bought the like expensive one, but you bought the what 40,000? You bought the $40,000 copy, I think.
55,000.
This is just it actually sounds pretty good. Rhino, mono. I didn't have a mono version of this, but I'm still a fan. I have the MoFi 45, which I love. Yeah. So I probably don't even need, and I actually have the Rhino one that came out about 5 years ago, which sounds good. I don't know why I did. And it's funny. I'm not even a big fan of these guys, but this is getting hard to get. They also put this out. This is Jane's Addiction. You know,
not my kind of music.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's the Rocktober, and they're Rhino. They're decent covers, decent pressings. This is 2 LPs. It's very unlike me to buy. I think I have this on CD. I started buying grunge on CD, and after about the 2 or 3 albums of most of those grunge artists, I stopped buying it. You know,
Do you
whether it's,
like the new Pearl Jam, by the way? Have you the new Pearl Jam?
I do like the new one.
You like it?
Yeah, that's the one.
Great cover, great cover, but I don't
It's
like
and
the
it
record.
sounds it's a really good record. It's funny. I jump on the bandwagon a little more because there's a because in a way they're my home team now that I'm in Seattle, and they are the number one band in Seattle still that's still standing pretty much. I mean, there's bands like Mudhoney and that whole stuff, but you know, Pearl Jam is sort of the ambassadors here of
Mm-hmm.
Seattle rock and roll music. And one of the stores I go to, Easy Street in West Seattle, they did that live recording. That was a record store day last year, I think. And there, you know, and I've run into one of the members. Like I didn't know what Jeff, the bass player, was. A friend of mine has a cafe in West Seattle, and I was sitting with some friends talking there who are from Seattle and big music collectors. And this guy
Yeah.
walks in and he says, "Can I sit down?" And they knew him. And we were talking for a half hour, and the way they were talking about him, they're like, I knew this guy was a musician, but I don't, except for Eddie Vedder, I don't know what the guys in Pearl Jam look like, you know. And so I'm sitting there, literally, like
Yeah.
I'm looking on my laptop. I'm sitting literally across the table from him, and we're just talking about music. And then I realize it's Jeff. Is it Jeff Ahmet? I think that's his name, the bass player. And we
I don't
talked
know
for,
that.
what a great guy. We talked for about an hour and a half. And once I knew who he was, I mean, I didn't acknowledge it, but then I had seen Pearl Jam early on at a club in San Francisco called the I-Beam, which is kind of this gay disco that started having punk and post-punk 3 days a week, you know, when the disco wasn't doing disco. Where I used to see Echo and the Bunnymen and
Yeah.
Violent Femmes and Billy Bragg and The Cure, you know, on their first tours when they were playing clubs.
Yeah.
And I saw Pearl Jam there too. But you know, I think I bought 10, and I bought Vitology, and I bought the one Mirror Ball with Neil Young, and that was it. I really didn't follow them a lot. But I talked to Jeff about like bass players. We're talking about Jack Cassidy, who's a favorite bass player of mine, who played with the Jefferson Airplane and Hot Tuna. So that was kind of fun. I know we're kind of rambling here, but this is what you talk about when you're shooting the shit, talking about records, music.
Sure. But I have one question now. I almost forgot because you have to tell it to me. I've seen a few videos from the vinyl guru, and she goes, and it looks a little bit like The Walking Dead. She calls them thrift stores. What are thrift stores?
You don't know okay, they're like antique stores, thrift stores. I know in the UK they call them charity shops. A lot
Okay.
of
Okay.
a
Then
lot of
okay.
but
Okay.
in the UK the charity shops are usually, not always, connected to a church or something
Okay.
that people donate stuff and they sell it, you know.
Okay.
But there's
Okay.
a lot of antique malls here where we have antique malls um, where you could rent a stall, you know, and you don't have to be there every day because they have a front counter and everything is tagged and labeled for your stall. So when you take it to pay, you get the credit for it. Sometimes there's people just selling records. Sometimes there's posters. Sometimes
You
there's
go through records there, and the atmosphere is. I was surprised.
some are really junky. I know she showed, like, we have Goodwill
Mm.
and you know, the Goodwill stores and the thrift stores. They're very barren stores in some cases, but you know,
No, I didn't understand that those are charity things, so I didn't
well, they're
know
not
that.
all. I mean, some are. Some are like Goodwill. You know, they make money to have the people rehabilitate and work in the stores and clean up the clothes and, you know, vintage clothes. I mean, look, all the, you know,
Okay.
punk artists in the 80s, you know, late 70s, going to, you know, hippies too,
Mm.
buying these vintage things when something's out of fashion. And, you know, places like LA, a lot of that stuff. I mean, there is these stores.
Oh, we have those kind of stores in Germany too. Now that you explained me, but you will never see a vinyl in those.
Yeah. Well, you see
Never.
it, but usually get, you know, the cliche old Andy Williams, Montavani, Herb Alpert records, the same old, you know, million copies of
The
those.
most funny thing for me, she skipped it, of course. Have you ever heard about Ivan Reprov?
No.
it was a German tenor in a way, but not a very good one. And she goes through an Ivan Reprov vinyl, and then a German one.
There was something I saw, because I saw that video. There was something I really liked that she flipped through, because we all have our things that every once in a while I'm thinking, oh my God, I would have grabbed that. It wasn't anything super rare, but it was something I would at least taken a second look on. I don't go to a lot of those, but I know Greg, I don't know if Greg's watching here. Greg in Vinyl Rundown in Los Angeles, he gets lucky. He goes to, I guess there's a Goodwill near him, and he brings a pile of records. And he finds some really cool stuff. There's always some junk stuff, but he finds good stuff. And it's also a good time to find, if you're still into buying CDs, you find these great CDs for $1 or $2 or $3 of great music. And I tell you, anybody who wants to build a collection, not vinyl, that's a place to do it.
But to find real grails over there, you really have to know your stuff. I don't think that I would be able to find the pearls or grails in those kind of plants.
There's a few, Chris at the Man Cave, who's really into Blue Note. He's really tries to get original jazz. He gets some tone poets and stuff, and I'm amazed at the stuff he finds occasionally at thrift shop.
He knows the stuff. I'm sure he does. Yeah,
and he doesn't. I mean, with a few times he'll spend a lot of money, but a lot of times he finds these Blue Notes, and he's one of those guys that he'll buy a pressing as a placeholder until he gets a better one, then he trades or he sells it. And I love that. And I just don't have the patience for that anymore. That's why, like you, I'd rather, when I spent the $80 on those Music Matters SRXs, I know they're hard to get now and they're worth 2 to 4 times that. But I got those now, and I don't need anything else. Although I've said this, even I think on your comments, if they came out with all the SRXs of all those records that were 33, I would trade across the board all my 45s, even though I know 45s have the slight edge. If I'm not comparing, I won't know the difference. The 33s sound great, and I just like the flow and not flipping,
Yeah, all good arguments. There is no right and wrong in that.
Right. That's what works for me, I mean, I'll pull this over a little now. Like, I've shown this before, but this is my jazz stuff. These are my Music Matters, and they're in alpha order. And then these are all the rest of my jazz. Not good light. These are my tone poets.
On the ground, on the floor. Yeah.
Well, they're in a bin. Yeah.
You showed that. Yeah.
For now. So.
Yeah. But you still have your records inside your box sets. Get them out. It's better.
Well,
you use it.
Most of my box sets are upstairs. I have 2 flip bins behind my sofa. That's where my main records are. And I found pulling my box sets and putting up there, I play them more. Because I know what you mean. But then I have to put the box set somewhere, and it's more room.
You see that with the Bowie boxes and the Beatles box? You see that?
They're next to
it. Above the Impulse.
I'm out of room.
Yeah, sure. No. I have a lot of room now because my electronic are gone. Yeah, sure, you're out of room. Buy a new house.
I got a big house. I got 2,400 square feet.
It's enough for one person.
But I have a roommate now, so.
Yeah, you told me, the archivist. Huh?
Yeah.
You did a beautiful whack-a-mole with her. Was great.
Well, we've done a bunch of them, and we've done Woody Allen videos. We did Billy Bragg videos.
And what about structuring your collection? Huh? That was a great one. When you talk about how do I put my records in the shelf?
Well, that's a good one and what's great about it, she got me starting Discogs. All my jazz is on Discogs. The records here up through M, so I got to continue soon. Go to M, finish this wall up, and then I got to finish my my Beatles section.
This will be very complicated because you have so many different versions. This will not be easy, I think.
Right. But, you know, I found doing the Discog stuff, first of all, I'll upload that PDF to my insurance company because when we talked about, you know, with Steve Carlson.
Steve Carlson. Hello, Steve.
You know, I misquoted there. I realized so far my value is 65,000, my mid value. And that's pretty much what you insure. I'm not going to take your high number. My high number right now is about 130,000. And that's only half
but your records are in a pretty good shape, man.
Yeah, but still, the insurance company aren't gonna. That's just the way it goes. So basically, once I finish my collection, my medium will probably be around $150,000. So I need to insure my, and that's not doesn't even include my compact discs. You know,
they are worthless. They give
well, even if I did $1 a piece.
I'm just teasing you. They are not worthless.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Some are, but there are some CDs that go for $100 or.
Of course, yeah. I was kidding, Messi. Sorry.
No, that's okay. The easy thing about that, they all have barcodes, so it's easy to, you know, there's an app you can use the barcodes on Discogs.
It's all very easy when it comes to CDs.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where I need an intern if I, you know, just to come in and say, you know, while I'm here.
But you also seem to have quite some bootlegs. You made a video about your bootlegs, and I think you can't find your bootlegs over at Discogs. I think they banned bootlegs.
I don't know, but you know, it's okay. I can still list them or just add some things in, or even if I don't, I mean, I don't have I probably have maybe 100 bootlegs.
Okay.
Or
only 100.
Yeah, maybe less. Just Beatles and Beatle related and Dylan. That's pretty much it. I don't have any other bootlegs. But then I got, you know, books.
Right.
These are all books on the Beatles.
My God, Messi, you and your Beatles. Great. Your son says, "Papa, give it all to me," or does he say, "Come on"?
He doesn't even think about it. And he doesn't play records. He likes music, and I taught him a lot about. But he opens up. You know, he works with animation and illustration, so he's on the computer all the time, and he just sort of streams music. I mean, either from his hard drive. I gave him a hard drive of all my CDs, but I think he mostly streams or YouTube.
All of your CDs? Wow.
Well, most of my CDs are on a hard drive.
Wow.
I've been putting them on. Every time I get a CD, I load them in a hard drive, and I probably have 90% of them on about 4 terabytes.
My son streams too.
But you know, he would probably sell these. I always tell him that, you know, if you get to that point, look at my Discogs and don't sell anything without talking to some of my friends. You know.
Yeah.
So I'll have him call you, and you can write him a check for all the Music Matters. You don't need them, but you know.
Genau. Ach, Messi.
All right. Well, I don't know what else we can say on this video. We don't get too long. I don't know how long it's been. Anything else, like news?
I don't have any news. I'm completely filled up with those Blue Note news.
Okay. Well, here's a question then.
Yeah.
Is there anything you've pre-ordered or you're looking forward to, whether it's a new release or an audiophile release?
There's a lot I've been pre-ordering. What I'm really looking forward to is the UHQR Aqualung. I'm really eager to get my Prince box set. I skipped on the Wildflowers, by the way. We talked about that, remember?
I got the 9 LP, but I haven't showed it on my channel yet.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, of course, the next round of these UME. I think it's a Sarah Vaughan's now, isn't it? Those will be great.
When are the Nina Simone? Nina Simone?
Oh, you're right, Nina Simone, the Phillips. Huh?
Yeah. Well, next Friday are the next Tone Poets.
Tone Poets, but only 2, not 3.
Oblique.
Don't ask me for the titles, please. But 2 they said it were 3, but it's only 2. And in November they said will be 4. Now we will see.
There's a guy that I really like on Blue Note, because I've been getting into more new artists too, because as much as I like all this stuff, I heard an interview with Don Was, might have been a couple years ago, and he had signed this guy, I think his name is Joel Grimes.
Joe Grimes, yeah, sure.
Gee. Can't find it.
Doesn't matter.
Well, it's Grimes. I think it's Joel Grimes, and he has a new album. I thought it was coming out yesterday, but it's coming out in November. He's a vibraphone player, and it's really good. The first album came out about a year or 2 ago. The new one's coming out, and he's on Blue Note Records, signed by Don Was. Younger guy on the East Coast. He does great vibe players. The last one, I haven't heard the new record yet, but he plays with a sax player too that has a little bit of Coltrane. So some of it's very melodic. Some of it goes a little out there, but it's very accessible. And I just really want to connect with some new jazz artists too, who are doing some great stuff, who are really influenced by Bobby Hutcherson and Coltrane and Hank Mobley and all these guys.
No, this Don Was guy. So what I've seen so far from him, somehow I like him. What I've seen so far from him, I really like. Sometimes he does live streams, and there are 28 persons, and he does them for hours.
Who is this?
Don Was,
oh,
chief of Blue Note. He's a great guy. He's great. What I've seen so far is great. There is this Michael Fremmer video with him. Have you seen that when he sits there with his bare foot?
I haven't seen that, but I watched some of his videos. And the other one I like is the interviews that, oh God, the guy that produced the Beastie Boys and Tom Petty. And
don't ask me that kind of questions. I'm very weak with names. You are the guy with the names.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Messi, come on. You know those kind of things.
Joel Ross, not Joel Grimes. Joel Ross.
You know it.
No. Okay. This is the record that the Vibe player that's coming out next month on Blue Note.
Great cover. Yeah, I've seen that. Great
Joel
cover.
Ross. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm thinking he produced the Johnny Cash records. God damn it. Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
Rick Rubin. He has a interview show, and he does these interviews, and they're really interesting. He's got a really organic sense. He's done some things too. So, during this lockdown, that's why these are becoming so popular. We like talking to people. We like the content. You and I were talking about, how subscribers grow, and people are attracted to your channel because you do things that none of us do, and you're focused. I'm all over the place. I'm like Paul McCartney. I just keep putting out videos. Some people like the humor, snarky stuff. Some people don't, and so they, have more serious.
But your channel is by far the most popular in the whole BC.
Oh no, I don't think that. It's a style that I don't show just one thing. Like I mentioned when I did the McCartney thing the other day. I've had a bunch of requests lately to do this features on all this Beatles stuff, and of course, look at my collection. I love the Beatles. I don't want to do a whole Beatles channel, and there are plenty of people that do it really well and do it out there.
Isn't it a bit boring, Messi? You and only Beatles? Would you be?
It would totally bore me. It would totally bore me. But I keep coming back to it. I'm going to do one with my.
No, why not? Of course.
I do one with my buddy David. We're going to do one when the McCartney album comes out, and we'll do something then. And
yeah, but the point. Let me explain what I meant by most. You are very prolific, and you put out a lot of videos, and everybody can decide, oh no, that topic is not for me today. Right. Beatles, no, I skip the Beatles, or Neil Young. No, I'm not into Neil Young. I watch his next video because you do them on a regular basis and not one per week or every 14 days one video. And that overall, I think you have the most watched.
I've been coming. I mean, for a while I was doing sometimes one a day. I've been doing about 3 a week now. And I got back doing the whack-a-mole because I had skipped about a month. We did the 80th, and I did one literally 2 days, 3 days later on McCartney just for fun. But the ones that I really enjoy now, and I'm doing one a week, is this like autobiographical yearly thing. And,
great one, I love them. And, I watch them before I go to sleep. I watch mostly to 15 to 20 minutes, and then I pause it and watch it on the next day.
It's like a self-therapy for me, and it's like writing something down for my son eventually. And the music on these years and various years that pop out at me, eventually maybe I'll narrow it down to years that I'll have to do a little more research on, because some years, like I just did one this morning that popped up, 1990, and the end of 1990 was when my son was born.
Well, mine too, by the way.
Oh, there we go. So what month?
January.
Mine was December. Mine was December 1990. Joseph, and he was on two of my videos he's been on. He lives in Portland, Oregon now. Left San Francisco a few months ago, and is in Portland. But I like doing that, and it triggers these really specific memories of. I use the music, the records that came out that year as a frame. Sometimes I just show the records. I don't say a lot about them, but sometimes they trigger a memory of some stuff that happens. I know a couple of people said, well, God, you had all these great years. Don't you have any shitty years? Absolutely. And I don't know how I'm going to attack those at some point, but I will at some point.
You will put in your shitty years?
Oh, absolutely. Because I don't mind, but I got to figure out how to do it. And to be honest with you, there's been a couple of stories and things I really want to share, but I don't know if I should or how I should share these stories, because they also involve people that I know that are alive still.
Be careful.
I kind of want to compile these and then find a transcriber to transcribe them and put them all together eventually in order and see if I can make something of it. I don't know. It's a couple of
be careful when other people are involved and you put them out on YouTube.
I'm not gonna do that so much. Yeah. Anyway, I just hope people watch them, and they seem to be popular to a handful of people, and they range from 45 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes, so they're not short. But I find that I'm surprised, even the longer videos people get into. I'm not good at 12-minute videos.
Over time, when I did my 3.5-minute announcement from the Blue Note series, I had 1,700 after 24 hours.
Wow.
When we do our four corners, it's much slower, but steady.
But the four corners, there's 4 of us posting the same video too, so it's distributed differently. I just did that McCartney one the other day, and it just like, of course, you put Paul McCartney in it. It's like way up there. I just looked at last one. This is where eventually I know you've been discussing yes and no about doing something of your equipment and your stereo at some point. And I did one of my home with my, way back. There's like 27,000 views. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's about a year.
Poetry on Plastic has 250,000 views on his. Those things run. But I have set a date now for the video because I need another person for it, or I want to have another person on it, and we'll do it in around 10 days, and then I put it.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, you have all this great music, and people are curious. I know some people want to be private about it, or don't want to. Like, you're not a show off, so you have nice equipment, and it's not a showing off thing. It's kind of like some people. There are people that say, oh my God, how can you have all those records? What a waste of, every once in a while I get a comment, and I totally get that. But like, we all have our, like someone said, oh God, I'd rather travel the world instead of being bogged
Yeah,
down. And
do it. Go.
I haven't traveled the entire world, but I've had done a lot of traveling. Obviously now is not the time to travel. And this music has brought and continues to bring me joy. And I listen to music a lot. Um, so, I do want to do one little, I'm doing a joint video, a three-way, that sounds funny to say it like that. This week,
You say it on purpose that
of course
way.
I
I
do.
know
Of course,
that. Of course, it was on purpose to say it that way.
yeah, I'm doing a three-way this because I go for the cheap shot all the time. I and people get it. I have that smirk. I always get busted, but I'm doing with local band. No, I'm sorry, not Dave. With John Digital Gramophone and a friend of mine, a mutual friend of mine, and the archivist Chris, the Long Cut. They're big Bruce Springsteen fans, so we're going to do a Springsteen thing next
Oh,
week
that's cool.
because his new album just came out. And one thing I'll recommend, if any of you have Apple TV, there's about an hour and a half, I forgot, a black and white, beautiful kind of documentary showcase of the new album, photographed around the snow period, I guess at his ranch recording studio, when the whole E Street Band was making this new album, and they're there. There's a show about they're working on it, rehearsing and talking. And this new album is very autobiographical for him. And I watched that before I played the record, and it just got me more excited about the record. I don't know if you're into Bruce, or some people love and hate Bruce these days. And it reminded me of the
Live,
video.
by the way.
Pardon me?
I've seen him live, by the way. I haven't seen many, not like you, but Bruce Springsteen I have seen, and it was gorgeous, was great.
Well, we're going to talk about that too, and about concerts, but he does this thing about, because his last friend died, who was in this band before he went on his own.
The saxophonist, no?
No. This is before the E Street Band. When he had a band that were kind of a rock and roll band, a psych garage rock and roll band. And he died a couple years ago. I don't know maybe how long ago it was, maybe more recent, of cancer. And so Bruce is the last remaining living member of that band. And of course, I'm certainly no Bruce Springsteen. I'm not even, but it reminded me of that 1966 video where I showed my band, because everyone's gone. I'm the last man. So
the silence.
I'm going through this period in my life. That's why I'm doing these autobiographical videos. And that's what it just was interesting seeing Bruce record this record that's very autobiographical about how he got into music and his love of music. So again, I was talking to this with the archivist, and she said to me, you're no Bruce Springsteen. And of course I'm not Bruce Springsteen. And I don't pretend to be, but I didn't mean it like that, like, oh, Bruce and we have the same story going on. Of course I don't. But as we get old, we do reminisce. We remember these things about when I was 10 years old, or when I was 16, when I was 29, whatever, more than 2 weeks ago. I don't remember friggin' 3 weeks ago what happened, So I think I'm gonna you and I can still chat, but I'm gonna end this recording. And this may be up. If you watched it, it's up, and if you didn't, it's not. So
we talk about if we put it up or not.
Yeah, we'll see.